Hey, good morning, Trondheim friends, and welcome to this week's edition of Patio Ponderings. I'm Pastor Sue, and this week I'm also President Sue, as I hold that role on the board of our community food shelf. And my patio today is in that food shelf. What you may or may not know about me is that food ministries have been one of my passions, one of the cores of my ministry for decades now. It is something I see as being very fundamental to our faith and how we love our neighbor, and that is to feed our neighbor. So as I look at what is happening in our public life together as a country right now, I am thinking very, very intently on that call of ours to feed our neighbor. As you may know, we are in the midst of a government shutdown, and one of the programs at risk is what we call SNAP. It is food assistance, or maybe you remember it as being called food stamps, to a variety of individuals in our state, in our country, to make sure that everybody knows where their next meal is coming from. This is coming on the heels of other government cuts to things like subsidies for our food banks and contracts with farmers and things like that to make sure that we get food to our families. And I'm struggling as I ponder this with the contrast between what is happening in our public life together and what is happening, or what we hear as our mandate in our faith lives. Our primary call, or one of our primary calls as followers of Jesus, is to feed the hungry. It is part of how we love our neighbor. And this goes not just in Jesus' ministry, but it goes way back to some of the earliest parts of the Old Testament, in which God has laid out guidelines and instructions for farmers on how to harvest their fields, and so there is always some left at the edges for those who are hungry. We may be very familiar with Jesus' miracles of feeding people. The miracle of feeding the 5,000 with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes is the only miracle that's told in all 4 Gospels. In Matthew 25, Jesus says, whoever that I was hungry and you gave me food to eat, and whoever does this to the least of these, my brothers and sisters, has done this for me. So that has left me kind of thinking through how we live, how we carry out this call when it's going against what is happening in our local, community, state, national, public life. One of the things that I've been thinking about is not only what Scripture says about this, but what it doesn't say. When we are called to feed the hungry, what we do not hear is conditions. We do not hear feed the hungry if they are worthy. We do not hear feed the hungry if they deserve it. We don't even hear feed the poor. It's just feed the hungry. And in fact, in Romans chapter 12, verse 20, we hear, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him a drink. So I am wondering today, as I ponder this for myself, I'm wondering how you are thinking through what is happening in our country right now, with cuts to programs that support feeding some of our most vulnerable neighbors. These are working families. These are people who are differently abled. These are seniors. These are people with medical conditions. All kinds of reasons that people receive these benefits. So how are you pondering something that is so core to our faith not being lived out in our public life? How are you navigating that and living into our identities as followers of Jesus, which are our primary identities over any other kind of identity? How are you thinking about that? Are you coming up with some ways to help? Are you coming up with some ways to live out your faith? Do you need some help with that? I'm here to talk that through with you. So, as always, I would love to hear what you have to say, and I hope that you will consider looking to your local food shelf, wherever you may be, and maybe sending some donations and some monetary love their way. Hope to see y'all on Sunday. Bye.